Hello and good morning. Welcome to Matcha Mornings with Diane. I am your host, Diane. I am a dancer, performing artist based in New York City, and welcome to my podcast where I talk about all things mindfulness, life in New York as a performing artist, creativity, art, and everything in between. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my podcast. Hello, good morning. Welcome to another episode of Matcha Mornings with Diane. It has been quite a bit since I've recorded a podcast episode, and today I'm just so excited to be able to record another episode. And it just feels so good to be talking to the camera again. Not that I don't have any reason as to why I haven't been recording podcast episodes. My life has just been so busy recently, and in a really good way, because I am finally an O1 artist. I finally got my visa, so I am now a working dance artist in the US. So that is my biggest update. And it's been such a great relief and just such a great feeling to finally get through that whole process, because it was a really tough process. But I'm just so glad that I finally made it out, and I made it out alive. And I just know that a lot of amazing things are ahead of me now that I finally have the visa, and I am just a lot more available to opportunities that have yet to come. So, yeah, I am just feeling really great overall, feeling super excited and just so fulfilled. I don't know if it's also just the fact that spring is finally here, and I am hoping that it is finally the truest spring in New York, because I know that we had a period of fall, spring, and it got a little cold again, but it seems like in the next few weeks we are finally going to be experiencing the spring weather. So I am so happy about that. And of course, I think the seasons do affect us in some ways. So I do know that this fire that I have within me right now is definitely from the fact that the weather and the seasons are finally changing. And I just know that there's so many amazing things ahead of me. On top of that, I've also just been training really hard. I've been putting myself in new environments. I've been taking a lot more heels classes, a lot more commercial dance classes, and it's just been so freeing. I'm not saying that it's not challenging at all, because it still is. And it's still so new to me, considering that I have been very much in the classical ballet world for the past 2 years. Like, that was mainly my focus. It really became my whole world. But yeah, now that I have shifted, and I just feel like it was time for me to get out of the box, I just feel really good. I feel really good about it. And I just feel like the momentum's building. So there's nothing more exciting than that. And I have also just been trying to build new things that I think would be great for me to offer to others. I've just been feeling called to be more of service. And yeah, even this podcast is just for me to actually be of service, to be able to find community and connect. So that is why I also am feeling so happy to finally be recording another episode after a few weeks off. And yeah, the title of this episode is Right This Very Moment. And I have my friend to thank for suggesting this title, because I was actually just catching up with him after years of not seeing each other. So we definitely had a lot to catch up on. But this story actually came up. I was telling him that, Yeah, my mother used to say this prayer whenever we would go out to the mall on a Sunday or just on the weekend in general. And we would be at the parking lot looking for a spot. And this is the prayer that she kept repeating. She would always say, Lord, please give us parking as soon as possible or right at this very moment. And it's so funny because I also told my cousins about this just a few months ago, and they have actually been using that prayer themselves, especially when they're driving. Of course, they know that they would need to look for a parking spot. And they've told me just like the wonders that it has made for their driving and parking experience. Because, yeah, the prayer pretty much works. If not 100% of the time, like 90%, 95% of the time. So, yeah, I feel good about that. But I've been thinking so much about the phrase right at this very moment. And I think it's something that I have been coming back to, especially in the past few weeks, and especially in this new chapter that I have just entered. And I feel like more than it being a prayer and trying to manifest something, it is just such a wonderful reminder of being present. For me, that has been such a challenge, especially in the past few months when I was so deep in my visa process. I just felt like I was thinking so far ahead. I was always thinking about the worst case scenarios, and rightfully so, because it is a stressful process to be in. And the waiting period is always the hardest. And when you are just dealing with that kind of uncertainty, it's so easy for your mind to go elsewhere and to jump into the worst case scenarios and even just have a plan B, just those things, which honestly is not completely bad either. Like, it's okay. And I think it's also healthy to accept that, what if this doesn't work out? And I have come across that thought a couple of times in the past few months. And, as sad as it mostly was when I was thinking about that, I was like, you know what? Whatever the result is, I know that it is beyond my control at this point, and the only thing that I can do is really stay present and make the most out of my days and know that whatever the result is, I will be okay. I will be able to figure it out because I have already done the work. I know that I am someone who is not afraid to do the work. In fact, I feel like I take so much action all the time. I just have so much fire in me. And I think I was just really raised with amazing work ethic that the doing and the action part was never the challenging part for me. It is the surrender part. And I think I have been really trying to practice more of that, more of the surrendering. And for me, surrendering isn't necessarily giving up or even not caring. I think it's the opposite of that. I think of surrender now as actually just really being present and really also allowing myself to focus more of what's in the now rather than like thinking too far ahead and planning every single thing because life is already happening now. And there's nothing wrong with having goals. I think we're always going to have goals, we're always going to have desires, and it's great to have something that you want to work towards. But I think the truth is, those goals will never feel great when you finally achieve them if you do not enjoy the process of getting there. And this has been something that I have been practicing so much, even in my dance training when I'm in the room with a lot of other amazing people. And it's so easy to get caught up with the things that normally your mind would want to think about. Being hard on yourself and thinking that you do not deserve to be in the room. And I think for me, just like really staying present and not even trying to force some sort of certainty. I think that's a big part of surrendering too, is being okay with the fact that things will never be 100% certain, but you still show up anyway, and you still stay open to whatever the present moment has to offer you. And, the funny thing is, I even used the phrase right at this very moment when I was, just like talking to my mom and my uncle, who recently just passed away as well, and my maternal grandmother, because they have already passed. And I was just like talking to them. This was 2 days before I finally got the incredible news that my visa got approved. I was just telling them that you guys already know what I want. And, whatever God's will is, I will accept it. But, it'll be great. It'll be great if I can just have a bit more reassurance, and if I can just hear back, right at this very moment. And honestly, I didn't think I was even going to get the decision a few days after. I was even thinking, okay, maybe a week after, just because I knew that I was going to get it really soon anyway. It wasn't going to be past a week after I said this, this phrase, and after I had this conversation with my loved ones who've already passed. It's funny, and I was still in such disbelief when I received the news, but I think more than anything, just going back to that phrase reminded me to really just stay present and remembering that truly the magic of life is in the present. Sometimes we really just spend so much time worrying about the things that haven't even transpired yet when our only job really is to stay present and live in the now. I see this phrase right at this very moment, not really a prayer and not something that you pray or say in order to manifest something, but I think it's just a way to communicate to God or to some higher being that you are just asking for some reassurance and to be reminded that you just want to be open to the present and the magic that life already has to offer now. That's how I see it. I mean, I'm not religious anymore, but my mom was really religious when she was still alive. Not that I do not believe in a higher being. I really do. I still do. But I think I just have such a different perspective on religion now. And I know that a lot of people have also just been really contemplating on this themselves, knowing the current state of the world. And I do not want to get political. But yeah, I just know that there's always going to be a higher being that's always there to support us, to provide for us. And we are essentially co creating with God or whatever higher being there is. And that gives me so much relief. And I think that also just reminds me to stay so present. And I know that coming back to this phrase has been so helpful for me, especially in dance. I just feel like coming back to this phrase, especially when I feel so overwhelmed, when I feel like there are so many things to do. And gosh, I have been overwhelmed a couple of times in the past few weeks, especially since getting busy, because there are so many new things that are being thrown at me. And I know that this is just an opportunity for me to expand. But yeah, in those moments when I feel so overwhelmed to the point that I feel just a little paralyzed or maybe even a little fearful to move forward, I just try to come back to that prayer, to that phrase. Presence truly is the answer for me. And that is something that I am trying to embody more of, not just in my craft, but really in just the way that I am living life. And I think that has been such a gift. That has really been such a gift. I mean, they call it the present. So the present truly is a gift. I think it just allows me to feel good. And obviously, some days are better than others. But I think ultimately, when I'm present, I just really get to practice surrender. And I am just so open. I'm so open and expansive. More than that, I'm also just a lot more intentional. The old me obviously still kind of comes in every now and then and kind of questions like, is it okay that I'm this relaxed, or is it okay that I'm taking it slow? But you know what? I think that's the thing too about being in a fight or flight mode for so long. It does take some time to remind yourself and to reassure your body that you are safe and that you are right where you're supposed to be. And there's nothing that you have to worry about other than truly being present in your life and just keep taking action and showing up the best way you can, even if sometimes that looks so freaking messy. I've just been trying to throw paint at the wall, especially in this new chapter of mine. And honestly, it's been so fun. It's been really fun. Not that I haven't given myself that opportunity in the past year, but I felt like in the past year, I was so rigid. Like, even my idea of discipline was so rigid that I felt like if I fell out of my routine, even just like one piece of my routine, it felt like I was it felt like I was going to die. It felt like my whole world was going to crumble and I would really panic. But now I'm just like, okay, discipline is, like just having these few things. Of course, a big part of that is making sure that I am filling my cup first, doing my breath work and some journaling, just to like prime my body to also be receptive to whatever the day has to offer me. And yeah, to just be receptive to the world and the present moments in general. I've just been feeling so good. And there's also just like this feeling of softness. I feel it in my body that I'm just not holding on to so much tension anymore. And yeah, to me, like that really is the medicine. Like, really, it's all about being present, just having the presence in the moment in your own life and just letting things unfold and being okay with not being in control all the time. Because I do know that my relationship with control is still a work in progress. And I think it's always going to be a lifelong journey, I think, for everyone, not just me. I think it's just really a reminder to me that there are these small things that I can do that I am in control of during my days, but the rest of it, it is okay for me to not be in control. And all I have to do really is to stay present and to be reminded that, yeah, life is happening right at this very moment. And that is all I have to know. That is all I have to do and be. It's just so amazing when you're so present how life can really just surprise you in the simplest, but even sometimes the grandest ways. And I just hope that I can continue living this way, that I continue to practice this. And I'm just really excited to see how the next few months will be for me. There's just a lot of exciting things that have yet to come for me. I'm not entirely sure what they're going to be yet, but I think that's also the beauty of it, is that I just know that there are going to be a lot of surprises ahead of me, and it's only going to be great things. And if they're going to be challenges and things that might lead me to frustration, it's just experience, and life is meant to be lived and experienced. So I am just going to keep coming back to this prayer, this phrase that my mom would always say back then, right at this very moment, because truly life and the magic of it is happening right at this very moment. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. And I would love it if you guys could share what it is that you practice to just keep yourselves present. And if this is also something that you have been practicing, because I know that it's so easy to get caught up with the things that we want to achieve. And it's so easy to look far ahead. It's so easy to be so zoned in that sometimes it really consumes us and takes us away from the moment. So I think this is just a wonderful reminder for people like me who have always been just, big planners, and I still am. I'm not taking away that part of myself, but I think I am just like giving myself more space to actually be in the moment, to be more open and to be less rigid. And the answer to that, again, is to just stay present. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you again soon.